Good evening, Munchie Mafia. Today we're going to be making pizza using focaccia, and we're going to be making it from scratch. Got everything all set up here. I'm going to explain all these ingredients that I've got my table littered with. And we have tomatoes, red onions, pineapple, bacon, chicken, garlic, Parmesan, ranch dressing, Italian herbs, some rosemary, some more Italian herbs and rosemary. We have our yeast, our flour. It already has the salt in there. This is the oil. Then we also have cream cheese, tomato sauce, and tomato paste. Where's my scale? My scale, we're going to use a scale here. I prefer to use scales instead of measuring cups because that way I know that we're getting the right amount of ingredients. And when it comes to baking and pastry, it's more of a science than it is just throwing a bunch of things together and praying. And what we're going to do is we are going to tear out our scale. And the recipe actually comes from a book called The Pastry Chef's Little Black Book. There's 2 volumes of this. This is volume 1, and volume 2 is something that I don't usually recommend to the average person unless you make a lot of ice creams and frozen things. The second one is just full of that, but this one here is a wonderful, wonderful book. It's actually better than the CIA's baking and pastry book. What we need is a little bit of sugar. I usually say about a teaspoon of sugar. So we're going to just pop that right in there. We don't need that anymore. Now, make sure that the scale says 0. And we're going to measure out 540 grams of water, which I think comes out to 2 cups. And you don't want to get your water hotter than 105 degrees, by the way. Okay, so yes, 2 cups. Put that over there. Now we're going to take our yeast, and that's 20 grams of yeast. Comes out to 3 tablespoons. 2 tablespoons. And then we're going to mix it up, and it's going to sit on the stove for a little bit because it's got to get happy. And what I mean by happy is it needs to activate. And always check your expiration date on your yeasts to make sure that you're not using something that is expired. Although sometimes if they're kept in refrigeration, your yeast, they can actually stretch just a little bit longer, but I would not trust it. But one good way to find out is if it's still any good is you just give it a little bit of sugar, give it its water, and let it sit there, and you'll start seeing some gases forming on the top of it, which is all the little bubbles and stuff. So you don't want to agitate this too much. This one's a little on the lumpy side. I usually use fresh yeast, which is little tiny, they almost kind of look like big bouillon cubes. That's the type that I like to use. But alas, we live out in the middle of nowhere, and sometimes it's a little hard to find certain ingredients. So, just do your best. I bought a 1-pound package at Costco, and I think it came up to like $8, which is cheaper than buying one of the little glass jars, which is about the same price. But So if you do a lot of baking, that's the best way to go. It's all mixed together, and it just looks like almond milk of sorts, I guess, or oat milk. Actually, it looks more like oat milk. So we're gonna just kind of set it over here. My oven is preheated, so I'm gonna just set it there in a nice, warm, happy place and let it do its little jiggy thing, and then we'll be good to go. Let's take a look and see what this is doing. So it's starting to get a little bit of bubbles, and it looks like it's kind of dancing around a little bit. If you look into the thing, I don't know if I could show it to you. I don't know how well the resolution is going to be for that sort of thing. See, if I can try to hold it as still as humanly possible, you can actually start seeing some movement in there while it's creating its little happy dance. Oh, this here is the Bosch Universal Plus 800 watt mixer. This thing right here that's attached to it is a little area where you can stick a food processor or a blender. I don't have those attachments, but you just lift that up and it's right there. I love this. I love this machine a lot. It's just really kind of cool. Doesn't weigh a hell of a lot, but it's made by Bosch. I will include a link on my website so that you can easily find it. I got it on Amazon, and it came with a whole bunch of other little accessories besides the dough hook. And the thing that I love is that it's got two lids to it. It's like it doesn't make a mess. It's like you turn it on, and it's like stuff doesn't fly all over the place like a KitchenAid. And I have a tendency to break KitchenAids just like I do food processors. So this is the dough hook. It's pretty sturdy, so it just sits right down in there. Mixes from the bottom. The motor is down here, and it only has a few speeds, but that's all you really need. You can actually make like multiple batches of chocolate chip cookies or whatever kind of cookie you want to make in this mixer, and it doesn't have any trouble whatsoever. One of the things that I don't like so much about the KitchenAids is that you have to scrape and scrape and scrape the bottom of it, because for some reason the balloon whisk and the paddle attachment just doesn't quite seem to fit all the way down in there and get everything out and mixed up with everything else. What we're using is bread flour, and if you don't have bread flour, you can use all-purpose, or you can use a combination of the two. So we're just going to get that started. We're going to just stick that baby right in there. All right. So there's that shield, and then this one just snaps on. There we go, just like that. I don't have to worry about flour getting all over everything. So now we got foam. We got lots of foam. We got a good chunk of foam right here, just like that. See? Just like so. So what we're going to do, I already added the salt to that. And sugar helps to feed the yeast to activate it. So you need to add some sugar. All right, so now we're just going to start streaming it in there. One of the other nice things I love so much about this mixer is being able to, pour everything in from the absolute top without having the motor sitting right in my way. Okay, there's that. Oops. All right. Now we got the oil, which is a half cup of olive oil. And we're just going to start streaming that in. We don't want to start it on a high speed. We want to just let it, just twirly around a little bit here and there for a little while, and get it everything kind of mix in. Next, we're going to take I like to add my herbs into the dough. as well as into the sauce bases. So this is 2 tablespoons of Italian seasoning, and this is 1 tablespoon of rosemary. These are just dry herbs. Again, half hour to get to a grocery store. Go, push it down just a little bit. Do 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 do. So this is going to mix for about 3 to 5 minutes. This table's about ready to take off. Now, one of the things that we want to do is we want to also put some oil into our bowl. And this way it doesn't stick. So it's like a couple tablespoons of oil. And we're just gonna kind of move it around a little bit here and there. Just like that. Just let it travel around all over the bowl. Now, usually rest period is about an hour. But as you can see, this is just glistening, all nice and pretty, and it's nice and soft and pliable. It's got lots of the herbs in it, just like that. So I like to stick my finger in the middle and just kind of wiggle it around, finger bang it. And that way we can see how much it's risen over time. And I just need to open up my junk drawer. Plastic wrap, we want to make sure that there's a good seal on it. So this little cascading 3-bowl set is our mise en place for the pizzas. All right, let me get this out of the way. So after it's been doing its thing, it's gonna look like this. We're back to the fancy bowl tiger. Look at that. Oh. Okay, so this here will make 2. These are actual half sheet pans. These ones are made by Nordicware, and I got them at Costco. They're really nice, but they're real sheet pans. They're not the ones that you would find at like Target or Walmart that are, you know, not full size sheet pan or full half size sheet pan. So what we're going to do next is we're going to start getting these pans ready, and we're going to take the olive oil and we're going to drizzle some into the bottom of the pan. You can never have too much, but at the same time you can have too much, if that makes sense. So we're just going to move this around, make sure that the bottom is covered. So you want to give it a pretty good heavy dose of oil on each one. And now I'm all sticky and slimy. Don't like that feeling. I don't like things on my hands like that. Okay, so all right, so now we're gonna have to eyeball this. Need to make sure that we get half for one pan and half for another. So you just kind of eyeball it. There we go. Okay, so this has been relaxing and just chilling out in the bowl for about an hour and a half, maybe a little longer. I don't know. I kind of lost track of time. So when we move it, we don't want to stretch it. We just want to push it toward the edges. And at some point, it's going to say, okay, I give up. I'm gonna just stay where I want, where you're putting me. Whoops. Hey. That could have been an accident. That could have been fun. Not. Okay. So, and just get in there with your fingertips and just start just mashing it in there, but don't mash it too hard. You want to put dimples in it with your fingers. It's actually a fun project for the family, you know. So if you've got kids that are about 8 to 10 or a little older, they love to play with the dough because it's kind of fun, but it's so delicious. And one of the nice things is that you know what ingredients you're putting into your dishes. You can control all the salt and all the sugars and eliminate those chemicals that are unnecessary in some of those commercial doughs that are out there. Some of the lower end pizza places, or places that sell pizza but aren't necessarily pizza places. They might have a lot of stuff in their unnecessary ingredients in their flour, or in their crusts. Used to work at a bowling alley, and we used to get these doughs, or these pizzas. We didn't have the ingredients or the manpower to be able to make those from scratch, even though I wanted to badly. But big standing mixer is pretty expensive, and asking for one of those was like pulling teeth. So we ordered these frozen pizza crusts from Cisco, and about the time that we started coming back from the pandemic, we were having problems obtaining those. So they were being imported from Canada, and for some strange reason, they just didn't taste the same as the ones that were made here in the United States. They weren't Riches. They were some other. They were actually fairly decent for a frozen product. And par baked too, but I like to do scratch. But we had a lot of pizza parties at the bowling alley, so not enough space. Okay, so see how it kind of just gave up and said, okay, fine, I'll just go to the corners. So we're going to let that sit and rest for a few minutes. And now we're going to just take just a regular ranch dressing. Doesn't matter what brand. This is just grocery store brand because I told Timmy just get a cheap thing. Okay, so that is one brick of cream cheese, and then we're just going to start there. That's about a cup of a ranch dressing. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to mix this together. And then we're going to see where we're at as far as texture is concerned. As you can add more if you want, or less. Or you could just take the cream cheese and splash a little buttermilk in it and use one of the Hidden Valley ranch packets. You could do that too. It's up to you. Okay. So that's what this looks like. We don't want it too thin, or else it can create a mess. Okay. So let's set that right there. The next one is we're going to take about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And now we are going to take the herbs. Take the garlic. You know what? I'm going to throw some of this garlic in this one too. It'd be like a garlic ranch sauce. There's that. Now we are going to take 1 can of tomato sauce, and that is a 15 ounce. And tomato paste. This one is a 12-ounce can. Now there could be some leftovers. What I like to do is I like to just pop it on the stove in a little pan, heat it up, and use that for dipping the pizza. So now we're going to just mix that together. We want to adjust it with salt. There's my bowl of salt. Looks like I need to refill my salt. So about a teaspoon should be enough. And we're just going to mix that together. Now, if you were making 2 pizzas with red sauce, this would be enough for the 2 pizzas. But if you're just doing one of a different type of base sauce and one traditional red sauce, then just heat up the remainder and just let people use it for dipping if they choose. Okay, so that's ready to go. Let's take a look-see. So that's what the doughs look like. And what we're going to do is we're going to par bake these. And it's going to be in the oven for about 12 minutes at 400 degrees. Doughs are done with this recipe. You want to do 205 to 210 degrees internal temperature. So we're going to set the timer for 12 minutes. I am a bad sense of time. Okay. So this is a cheddar jack mix, and it's feather shredded. There's also Parmesan. It's also going to get sprinkled on there, and then there's mozzarella. And I do a 1-to-1 ratio. All right. It's just standard run-of-the-mill Hormel pepperoni. Live out in the middle of nowhere. It's hard to find, the primo stuff sometimes. I don't even know where the nearest metropolitan market or Whole Foods is around here. Hi, mean girl. Are you going to stay and watch the pizza? Actually, not a bad product. It's not bougie, but it works. All right. Cheese and cheese and cheese and pepperoni and chicken and bacon. So I cooked off my bacon. I didn't go too overboard. That's what it looks like right there. It's got some color to it. And it's done, but it's not, turning to ash in my mouth. That's about what you want. And then I sauteed up some chicken breast. In the bacon fat, of course. Because why waste the bacon fat? I love bacon fat. I just love bacon. And in case you want to make these in advance, what you could do is you can either put the doughs into baggies and then put them in the freezer. If you're not going to use them right away, usually the dough survives about 2 or 3 days before it starts to turn gray and icky. But you want to make sure that you coat the whole thing with a good coat of olive oil before putting it in the bag. That will help to keep it from developing a crust should there be air that gets into the bag, because sometimes those Ziploc bags don't always seal perfectly. All right, so we're at 1 minute. I'm going to stick the thermometer in there. Come here, you. Normally, when you're making focaccia, what you do is you slather oil over the top of it before putting it in the oven. But when you're doing pizzas, you don't have to do that. I mean, you can. It definitely likes the oil. All right, let's set that one aside for a moment. Beep, beep, beep. Okay. So we'll start with the chicken bacon ranch. So we're going to take this and we're just going to glop it on. Also, another thing when it comes to baking and pastry, the humidity and the ambient temperature can definitely work to your benefit or work to your detriment. Higher humidity, not a good time to do confections. Now I'm going to take a little bit of Parmesan. I'm going to go straight over the top of that, just a sprinkle. I love Parmesan. It's so delicious. Looks like I kind of missed a spot. A little too aggressive with the smearing. There we go. Okay, close that up. Now, what I like to do is I like to go with the mozzarella next. And you don't want to go too heavy on the cheese because that takes longer, and then you run the risk of your pizza getting burnt on the bottom. So now on top of all of it, you don't want to put the heavier amount of cheese in the middle, because when it cooks, the cheese goes inward. So just go a little lighter in the middle. So you got that. Now we're going to go with the cheddar jack. You can also use the cheddar and pepper jack if you want. Give it a little bit more kick. I mean, you can pretty much put just about anything on there. If you want jalapenos, habaneros, whatever, you could do that, definitely. Next, we're going to go with the meats. We're going to go with the chicken first. We're just going to plop it right on there and then spread it out. And I like mine in big chunks. I like lots of chicken. This is approximately 2 chicken breasts right here. And these are hand-cut chicken breasts from the grocery store. All right, so spread them out. Again, everything kind of wants to go that direction, so just kind of, move it around a little bit so that it is where it needs to be. All right, now next is bacon. And this is a double smoked thick bacon. This is about 1/2 pound. And I let it rest in a couple of paper towels. Now I'm all greasy. We got red onion. I like to go chunky with it. I like a lot of onion. I love onions. I could probably eat a whole one all by myself. Prefer it cooked though, but there's that. Now we got tomatoes. This is just one tomato. I'm just going to go light on the tomato. Okay, so there's that one. So just in case. All right, so that's what this looks like. You can put more stuff on it if you want. Like I said, peppers are always good. Okay, so now we're going to do Timmy's pizza. Splat, 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 another splat. Move it around with a spoony spoon. All those little finger dimples that you put into the pizza will soak up some of that sauce, so you'll get these little pockets of extra sauce without being too overpowering. Okay, there's that. A little bit of both, okay. So with this one, I'm going to put the cheddar cheese on the bottom. And this is a feather shred. You don't want the thick stuff. It doesn't melt as good. And some of the generic cheeses can be a bit of a pain because they put cellulose in it to keep it from caking. So sometimes you end up with a gritty cheese. So, you know, what you could do is you could shred your own. I'm just too lazy today. Right. Parmesan. This one I'm going to put in the middle. Because who doesn't love Parmesan? All right. There's that. Now, Timmy likes extra pepperoni. Oopsie. Do not eat. Always make sure that you find that before starting to put your pepperoni on there, because I had a line cook who cooked a pizza off with one of those. So I know this is weird. I know that some people get a little triggered by pineapple being on pizza. However, this is Timmy's pizza, not yours. So you shush your mouth. All right, we're going to stick these buggers back in the oven. They're going to go for, careful, Dory, your nose is getting too close to the oven door. Go, another 12 minutes. There we go. We have it. Uno. I know, Dory. Isn't that exciting? The timer went off, baby. All right, Rue. Close. All right. All right, so this one's going to flip out of the pan nicely, I think. All right, come on. Cut through the chicken. There we go. All right, go. And one of the things is that these are going to be very hot, so you don't want to burn yourself. And to reheat, you can just easily just stick it back in the oven for a few minutes until it's thoroughly reheated, and it works like a champ. All right, so there's this one. Kind of broke apart on me, just like so. That's that. And if you like it a little crispier, you can always, put it in for a little longer. This one I probably could have put in for a little longer. It also depends on your oven, if it runs hot or cold. Some ovens have problems. So my Munchie Mafia, I'm going to leave you with a pearl of wisdom. And that pearl of wisdom is the irony of life is that you never get out of it alive. So life is beautiful. Treat yourself well and cook with love and eat with passion. Have a good night.
If you haven't yet subscribed to Munchie Mafia Official, now is that time. What's stopping you?